If you want to help fund more episodes of the Honest series, go to patreon.com/geekswelcome and donate $1. This will also give you access to our Discord where we discuss future episodes of the show.
Hello everyone, my name is John Smith. Yeah, I'd rather not use my real name. And I work for Gamefreak. With the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, we've seen a lot of people online complaining about the various bugs and glitches that they've experienced with these games. Well, I'm here today to address the problems with the new Pokemon games. You see, Gamefreak is in way over our heads. We cannot handle Pokemon anymore. It's too much. Look, we're not exactly a AAA studio here. We've spent most of our time developing games for Nintendo's handheld systems. It wasn't until the end of Generation 7 that we were all of a sudden expected to make games for a home console, not a handheld console. And even before that, we were struggling to keep up with the unreasonable expectations of the Pokemon Company. 3 years is not enough time to develop these games. Let me back up a bit and give you some context. In 1998, we developed Pokemon Red and Blue for the Game Boy. At the time, games looked like this. Our game was an NES level quality, minus the colors. We wouldn't actually release a full color game until a year later. Problem is, we're not exactly great at coding. Sure, the games are fun, but optimizing is a bit of an issue. Red and Blue were held together with duct tape and a prayer. You could break them so easily. Just take a look at this. This is not done with a Game Shark or hacking. You could just do this in the game. When we were making Gold and Silver, Satoru Iwata, the man himself, actually came down to our office and optimized the game for us so we could fit it onto one cartridge. Now, you might be thinking, that makes sense, trying to get both Johto and Kanto into... No. Before Iwata's assistance, the game was just Johto. Just this. After his help, there was so much space left on the cartridge that we could cram an entire second region in there. This is how bad we are at optimizing code. We needed the Nintendo president's help just to make our game work properly. But you can see the vast improvements in games over time. Each generation added new gameplay mechanics, enhanced the graphics, and the sequel games consistently rate higher than the original release, despite not selling as well. Yeah, Generation 5 kinda looked like ass when it first came out, but the retro pixel art style is beloved by fans nowadays, and most people would say that Black 2 and White 2 are the peak Pokemon games. You're actually not wrong about that. Gen 6 is where a lot of the modern problems really start showing up. The shift to a full 3D environment and not just 2D sprites is a very drastic change. On top of all that, our team was cut in half. After Generation 5, we had 2 teams working on games, Team A and Team B. Guess which team was working on Pokemon? Yeah. Did you know about that? Our primary team was working on something called the Gear Project, which was this attempt to find an IP to replace Pokemon. How arrogant do you have to be to think that we could replace one of the biggest media franchises on the planet? That would be like the Disney Corporation trying to replace Mickey Mouse. And that's the reason why Pokemon Z never got made, because we were spending most of our resources on Harmonite, Pocket Card Jockey, Giga Wrecker, and Tembo the Badass Elephant. Have you ever heard of any of these games before? No, because they didn't sell well. But hey, we made Little Town Hero. What's the reviews look like on that? Well, Nintendo World liked it. This basically continued until Sword and Shield were released. At that point, all the teams were put on Pokemon because the Gear Project was a complete waste of time. The disillusion of the Gear Project is also why there have been so many Pokemon games released in the last few years. But here's the big secret. The Pokemon Company is not giving us the resources to handle the workload that's being pushed onto us. Sure, we're great for Nintendo, but they only own about 1/3 of our company. The rest is Creatures Inc. and the Pokemon Company. They're the big mommies here. Wait, does it seriously say big? Let me run some quick numbers for you. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are the fastest selling Pokemon games ever. They sold 10 million copies in 3 days. If we say each copy sold for $60 USD, that boils down to $600 million gross revenue. Not net, gross. And let's factor in the double packs as well. Those sold for about $120 USD. Now, let's say that half the copies sold were the double pack version and half were the regular version. So if we add all that up, that makes $600 million for the double packs, $300 million for the singles, and a total gross revenue of $900 million. Got it? Now, that might sound like a lot of money, but Pokemon as a franchise is worth $70 billion. Our gross revenue is a little more than 1% of the entire company's net worth. Do you wonder why they don't give us enough resources? We were pushed to make not just one, but 2 open-world games immediately following the release of Pokemon Sword and Shield. You need at least 5 years to make a fully open-world game work properly. Honestly, 7 is probably a better time frame. And the thing is, people seem to like the new games, because we know how to make fun games. It's just the polish part that we need a bit more time on. And that's what those 2 years would have been used for. 3 years is not enough time to make these games. But we have to. We have to because of the anime and the $70 billion franchise. Hell, we were so bogged down that we brought in Ilka to make the Diamond and Pearl remakes. And, you know, they stayed pretty true to the originals, which have not aged well. Why didn't they include the features, storyline, and Pokedex from Platinum? Who cares? The Pokemon Company doesn't give us enough resources to give it. Thank God modders got a hold of those games. You see, it feels like the Pokemon Company wants us to make this into an annual game franchise, like FIFA and Call of Duty. But the thing is, if we go down that route, it'll look less like those games and more like Mega Man circa early 2000s. And nobody wants to be like Mega Man in the early 2000s. Oh, and by the way, you can go and play Temtem as much as you want. Yes, they do make Pokemon better than we do. But let's make one thing very clear here. Unless Temtem Sequel allows you to transfer all of the Pokemon you've caught in the previous game into the sequel, and continues to do so for every sequel afterwards, they will never reach our level of success. It's the connectivity to previous games that has always made Pokemon such a big seller. You can take your Mons from Gen 1 through to Gen 9. But Nintendo closed down the 3DS store, so unless you downloaded the Pokemon Bank app before March of 2023, you can't use your old Mons anymore. We'll keep the bank vaults open as long as we can, but it's inevitable. They'll be gone someday. We seriously would have gone out of business years ago if it weren't for the success of the main brand. But it always boils down to the same problem. Bad management. We are overworked, underpaid, given too few resources, and expected to meet unreasonable demands.
Hey, Jim, real quick, I just wanted to ask a question. You're still talking about the Pokemon Company, right? And not referencing anything else at all?
Maybe?
That's what I thought. Hey, guys, did you realize that
No! Seriously, get, like, I don't know, HAL Laboratories, Retro Studios, Intelligent Systems. Hell, Bandai Namco could do it. They made the new Pokemon Snap game, and that was fun. We'll give them what few resources we have. Just, please, let someone else take care of it for a change. So enjoy Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. You have about 2 months before the Pokemon Company announces the next 3 games, which should be out in about a year. Help! Gamefreak. We can't handle Pokemon anymore. Hello everyone, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this episode, consider following us on Patreon at patreon.com/geekswelcome. For $1, you get access to our Discord server, $5, you get the episode a day early, and for $10, your name gets to go in the credits along with these fine people. Also, hit subscribe and smash that like button. Is that what they say? Is that the kids say smash, right? Smash the like button?
So of all the Pokemon, Vaporeon...
Why do you do this thing? Yeah, I have to explain that joke to my mother now. Thank you for that.
I would be more concerned that you have to explain that joke to your students.
Like my students would watch this.